Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the German tier 10 tech tree heavy tank, the Mouse. The Indomitable Mouse. So if you do enjoy the video, as always, please don't forget to leave a like down below and subscribe, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Mouse. It's a tank that I don't always particularly enjoy because it is a very slow tank, and the one thing that it does put all of its strength into is its armour. And sadly with the Mouse, one of those things that can happen quite a lot is that premium rounds completely trash your armour. And where do they trash it? Well, they trash your poor turret cheeks. Your poorer turret cheeks get absolutely slammed, and if it's really high pen heat, it just tends to mean, oh, I can't use the strength of the tank. But beyond that, it does have a really nice 128mm gun. Like I say, your armour is pretty damn good, and it's all about how you angle the tank. If you angle it right, you will still bounce a hell of a lot of damage, and you're going to see that in these replays. And you can have fun with it when you get stuck into the brawl. The problem for the Mouse is naturally that getting stuck into the brawl sometimes is a difficult task, because sometimes fights can happen on opposite sides of maps. So like here on Rosanai, I might go to the castle, right? My whole team is here, but their team might just decide, you know what, we're not going to bother, and they'll all go to the opposite side of the map at C8, which means that having to, because of how slow you are in the Mouse, having to relocate to the other side of the map to get the damage is a little bit painful at times, and it can be just a little bit frustrating in terms of that for the Mouse, and that's part of the frustration for me, realistically, in this tank, which is why, I mean, the E100 has the bigger problem compared to the Mouse, right? Of the fact that your turret cheeks get absolutely shredded by premium rounds. That they're even easier to hit, and they're just, yeah, the poor E100. But the thing I liked about the E100 slightly more than the Mouse was the fact that it was ever so slightly more mobile, and I mean ever so slightly. But also the fact that I got a big gun. I liked having the 750 Alpha. That really was something that was a big draw for me, because you know me, I'm an Alpha whore. I like Alpha, and having that 750 meant that I at least could slap people about and have a good time with that gun. I mean, it doesn't mean you can't have a good time with the old Mouse. I mean, the Mouse has 0.38 base accuracy on this 128mm gun. You've got 2.3 second aim time, which isn't too bad. You've got a 14.5 second reload, which is pretty slow, but you can get it down to a decent level with all the crew skills and all that sort of stuff. Accuracy during rotation of this tank, by the way, on the turret is 0.36, which is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic on this tank, as well as accuracy at 1.41 during movement with the crew skills and stuff, means that the gun really doesn't bloom out that much. So you don't particularly need the gun stabilizer, which kind of helps you in setting up a little bit different for the Mouse. You've got 920 meters a second shell velocity on the AP, with 1150 on the APCR, which means your APCR rounds are a lot faster than your AP rounds, so you just got to bear in mind that the AP rounds can be a little bit derpy. Like I said, the 0.38 base accuracy is okay for this kind of tank, you're a bit close to range a lot of the time, but it's still, again, over range, can miss a fair few shots to the Mouse, which can be a little bit frustrating. And as well as that, because of the way that sometimes engagements happen, right, you will end up getting into positions where you're having to fire at distance, because that's just where the enemy team is. And yeah, you do have, as you've just seen, a secondary weapon system on this tank, which is actually kind of usable, because a lot of the secondary weapon systems in World War II just aren't that helpful, and this tank has 130 penetration on its premium APCR round on this 75mm secondary weapon system, which means that you can pen a lot of tanks with that, and it's a lot more useful than the heat rounds that are on the E100's secondary weapon system. So that's something that is definitely very, very useful for the Mouse. Like I say, you can use it to good effect, and it helps you just to eke out that little bit of extra damage and just keep the pressure on enemy tanks as they come after you as well, which is definitely an asset for the old Mouse in that regard. And yeah, you do have 400 meters view range as well, which is glorious, which means you'll, if you put code optics on, situational awareness, etc., you'll get your view range up to 512 meters view range, which is beautiful. It means you won't get out-spotted that easily, because obviously everything is going to spot you. You're big, you have absolutely no camo, everything is going to spot you very, very easily, which means that you want to be able to actually spot them if they do come after you. So in terms of a crew on the old Mouse, I do run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, snapshot, run and gun, trap mechanic, and rapid aim. I run the 3 gun perks to make sure that this gun is as good as humanly possible because I'm not going to be running gun stabilizer. The rapid aim to make sure this turret traverse gets, well, this turret gets on target as quickly as possible because it makes the turret traverse better. Trap mechanic because you are a heavy tank that gets brawly. You don't want to be able to stuck in a position where your tracks are blown off, and all the other perks are generally what I'm going to take. And in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, the optics, and the traction system. Advanced loader to make my DPM as good as possible, optics to be able to spot for myself, and the traction system to get me up to 28 kilometers an hour with fuel as well, because I don't actually run a med kit. I'm finished with the victory, 3 kills, 5.7k damage in that first game, 7.1k blocked, the high caliber, the steel wall, and yeah, the 1535 base XP for that first class. That was just one of those games where we got stuck into a pretty fun brawl. We bounced a lot of shots and we just had the time of our lives. But yeah, I don't run a med kit because I actually run fuel, so I can just try and eke out a bit more mobility out of this tank because it is slow. So getting it up to 28 kilometers an hour and having the traction system to get that that extra 2 kilometers an hour top speed, as well as giving me the extra track traverse, is great. And then the fuel, because the fuel, I just decided to sacrifice the medkit, and it is what it is. I take the fuel so I get the extra 5% top speed, but also it gives me that extra 10% rotation speed of the turret as well, which again is very, very helpful for the tank because the turret is a fairly slow turning turret, so being able to get the gun on target a little bit quicker is always glorious. And yeah, that's the way I run it. I mean, realistically, in terms of the crew, you could definitely drop Snapshot because I think the turret rotation, accuracy during turret rotation is already fantastic enough. But I just try and maximize the gun, right? Because that is all about the map. The map is all about the armor and the gun. So that's what I want to do. But you could try and negate the ground resistances with off-road driving if you wanted to. You know, you could take general mechanic to try and repair everything a little bit quicker, in terms of getting your tracks back on way quicker as well if something was to track you. If you do get set on fire in this tank a fair bit sometimes, so you can either take fire prevention or take the firefighting to put it out quicker. You can take supply conservation, is a good shout as well, to make sure that you get your fuel and your food back quicker. That is actually a very good shout. It's a very, very good perk if you get the chance to take it, if a tank gives you the option to take it, that is. And supply conservation is always something you never really want to overlook. And in a tank like the Mouse, it could be quite useful for, like I say, because you have that nice fuel boost and that nice food boost to maximize everything. It might be good to be able to get that back as quickly as humanly possible for this tank. You could take armor angling as well to reduce the amount of damage coming into the tank because you have such huge hit points. You might want to make it so that it's at least keeping those hit points. There's many, 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 many different ways to kit out a tank. It's down to how you want to have it set up, pretty much. So we're in this second replay, and this second replay is on a map that is perfect for us. We're on Pilsen. We're getting stuck in. There is the raid boss. There is the big boy, the Centurion AVRE. That is the boy we want to get rid of. But a Foch 155 drives around. It's like, hello, sir. Let me just start putting some shots into you. The 268 version 5 drives around, gives us a shot straight through the side, because naturally he's got big boy pen, and it's not going to go well for us. We get shot in the side again by another TD. I don't even give it the chance to look at it. What is it? It's a Ruthless. Oh boy, we got lucky there. The 268 version 5 gets a shot into us and only tracks us, and this is where the Mouse's armor is pretty damn good at times, because you can just bounce so much. I mean, we got extremely lucky against the Ruthless. The Ruthless should have penned us, but, you know, we take the rough with the smooth. The Ruthless is now looking at us, and I'm thinking, oh, God, okay. We get the RBRT in. He bounces again. Now, the Foch is coming after us. He pens us in the lower plate. I've got to angle up. He's using the 122, and he's firing AP. He's actually tracked us, which makes it easier for him to get shots into the lower plate. But even at this angle, as you can see, he is struggling to get the shots into that lower plate. He's bouncing the odd shot and only manages to track us with others. This is where you want to keep angling. If I just sat flat on to him there, he would have penned every shot straight through that lower plate. It wouldn't have been a good time. But once again, you can see the way we are angling. It is bouncing shots. If they're not, I mean, realistically, that Foch probably should have just shot straight for our turret front, because I never angled my turret because I just kept looking for the shot at him. But the fact that I wasn't sat flat on made it as difficult as possible for him to get the shots, and therefore we've blocked nearly 7,000 damage. This angling is key. Angling is key in this tank. If you don't angle, you're just going to make it so that it's very, very easy to take out this tank. And you'll negate all of your, well, everything that this tank puts itself into, right? And this skin, by the way, is the Krampus skin, if you were wondering. And we finished with 1 kill, 6,008 damage, 7k block, the Steel Wall, the first class, with the 1464 base XP. Pretty damn nice game again for the mouse. Pretty damn fun, pretty damn quick, but fun brawl there for the mouse. That's the kind of thing you want to get in your mouse. When you get in those brawls, oh, it's so satisfying. When you're just constantly going, taking the hits, smashing the hits out. It's absolutely glorious, and that is what the mouse is all about, and that's what you have so much fun doing in this tank. The problem is, when you get a map, say you got a map like this. We're on Hellfire Pass Small, right? Which is obviously the World War II version of Hellfire Pass. If we decide to trundle along and go to, say, H7, which is a decent corner to fight sometimes, and you can go fight that little flank, but their whole team decided, you know what, we're going to go round at B2 and come up into the cap down the 1 line, and their whole team decided to do it, except for maybe like 2 or 3, which is what sometimes happens, we'd be boned. Because they'd probably get to the cap, and then we would just trundle our way back. And then we wouldn't have any chance of doing anything. And that happens a decent amount in the poor old mouse, and anything that's really this slow. And it's something you've got to accept sometimes when you play the tanks that are this slow, is that there are going to be some games where you just can't do anything. There is no hope. There is no hope for you. And you just go, well, okay then. What can I do? What can I do about this? Nothing. Well, it is what it is. There's no point getting frustrated over it. It's just the sad point of playing slow tanks sometimes. So yeah, we're on Hellfire Pass Small, and what we are doing is getting some shots into now this T-77. We've got some pretty decent matchmaking. We're using the secondary weapon system to try and pen this T-77, but it wasn't working. But we did track him, and that AVRE deletes him. 970 tracking assist there. That's what the secondary weapon system can be good for, is keeping people tracked, and while you're doing that you can get your main cannon loaded. Also good for shots like that against that Mantis, where we weren't ready with the main cannon yet, so we got an extra 100 damage out of it. And you may be going, well, it's only 100 damage. It all counts. It all racks up, you know. Now we're going for a shot into the Minotauro, who is slightly over angled, which means we can get shots into his drive wheel. And once again, I'm just trying to blow his tracks off, because I can't pen a Minotauro from the front with the 130 pen of the premium round of the secondary weapon system. Obviously, that's something to bear in mind, that you have to fire the premium to make the secondary weapon system any good. But we end up taking a heat shell there, I think, from the Minotauro, who went straight through our turret front, by the way, which is, again, the sad thing. I don't know if that was the Tiger 2 or the Minotauro that fired at my friend. I just thought it possibly was him by the way that he stopped looking at us. We're now angling up again. You can see we're keeping our angled, just how we're angled towards these two. We bounce both rounds from the Tiger 2 and the Minotauro. Go for the lower plate of the Minotauro, straight through his lower plate there with standard. We're not always a guaranteed pen to go through that Minotauro's lower plate, because we do have 246 penetration on our standard AP round, which is a little bit low. If he gives us his lower plate like that, though, we'll take it. We do have 311 pen on our APCR rounds, which would be enough. But 246 on the standard is a little bit low for a standard round, and it at tier 10 anyway, and it can be a bit of a struggle against stuff like a Minotauro. But we did get rid of him. We've blocked 3.8k damage so far, up to 3.1k damage. Looking for the shot into the Tiger 2's side, which, oh, flies straight through his side. Beautiful scenes. And once again, we're just looking for that side shot, because 130 pen, once again, if we get the side of a Tiger 2, could work. We got shot by something from over there. It's an IS-3. I was just looking for the top roof panel of the IS-3, but silly old me, that got buffed a wee while ago, which means we can't actually overmatch the IS-3's roof armor anymore with this tank. So we're not actually going to pen that. So, yeah, there's just that was old reflexes looking for that. We can try and go for the shot into the turret front, sorry, the roof deck of the turret of the Tiger 2, but unfortunately we ended up missing. There is a lot going off in this game. There is a fair few tanks on our left, so I decide, okay, you know what, I'm going to see if I can get into a position to shut down the E100. Who is giving us his ass? Thank you, Mr. E100. Good night, brother. Good night. We shut down the old E100. We're up to 3.5k damage with 5.1k blocked, and that pesky Tiger 2 has decided to push up, which is beautiful scenes for us. We did not aim that very well, but RNG said, yes, please, I'll give you that. And we managed to shut down the German Tier 8 heavy tank. Now going after the Emil 1, it's like, hello, Mr. Emil 1. I am Mouse. How is life? Mouse like Swedish meatballs. And we're just now going to keep him track. Oh, we can actually track and pen him with the secondary weapon system there. This is a beautiful chat scenes, and again, that's why the secondary weapon system can come along and help the day. And we shut down that poor old Emil 1. And we're up to 5.5k damage with 5.5k damage? No, 4.5. Okay, we'll start again. 4,900 damage with 5.5k blocked. There we go. We're blocked a lot. That's the consistent theme for the Indomitable mouse, is that angling is key. It bounces a lot of damage. Even the games where you're... Oh, to be honest, it's one of those things where there's games where you feel like, oh, my armor got absolutely shredded. You barely do anything. And you feel like your hit points just go bang, because everyone fires a premium rounds, APCR, heat, whatever, go straight through, and your hit points just evaporate, and you die having done very little, and you go, oh, my armor was useless in that, it's really frustrating. But then you look at your blocks and go, oh, I still blocked like 4k damage, I don't remember that. Happens all the time. So we're trying to go for some blind fires here into the Tyrann, and I think we fooled him. I think that's what happened with that Tyrann. We used the secondary weapon system because our main cannon wasn't quite ready. The shot missed, obviously, because he didn't pull out behind the rock. And then he must have gone, aha, they fired, and pulled back from behind the rock. And we hit him with the main cannon. And it was like, well, there goes some of your hit points, Mr. Tyrann Blind. Isn't that a good time? So we're just now trying to use the secondary weapon system and the main weapon system against this Mantis, because naturally he doesn't really have much armor. We shut him down with the secondary weapon system. Now we're going for the shots with the Dragon. We get one into his back end before our main weapon system is ready. And unfortunately we didn't quite get there to get the kill on the Dragon, so we've not got the top gun. But we do know where the Tyrann is, so hopefully we might get there to get a shot in to get the Tyrann. That would be glorious. But again, you're seeing where the secondary weapon system, because it's got 130 pen, can be useful. Can be very, very nice to use for the mouse against those low armored targets, and there's a fair few of those that are tier 10 medium tanks that you can pen with 130 pen. You can just keep the damage racking up, which, to be honest, as well, is a fear factor, because it actually panics them. When they get into that situation against you, and you're just constantly hitting them non-stop, they start to panic, and it's definitely an asset for the mouse. But we finished that game with a victory, because we sadly couldn't get to the Tyrann. We finished with 5 kills, 6.2k damage, 6k block, the ace tanker, steel wall, the high caliber, and 1655 base XP. A really damn nice game there for the mouse. It was a pretty damn nice matchup, but again, it just showed off what the mouse can do. And yeah, that's the mouse. It can be a fun time. You just got to bear with it because it's very, very slow. That's why I try and help it out with the mobility as well. It is what it is. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!